It's a great honor and a privilege to introduce Izio Gold. We're here in your beautiful apartment in Ramat Aviv in Israel. And Izio, if you could tell us a little bit about your family. If you could tell our viewers a little bit about your family,
Okay.
where you came from, and
All
about your
right.
grandparents.
Start?
Please.
Well, my name is Joseph Gold, nickname Izio in the family and close friends, and you. And I was born in Będzin, you've got it, Poland. It's southwest of Poland, near the German border.
Can I ask him what year were you born?
So
In which year? What year?
I was born 26 July 1927. So now I am 93.
You look so young.
Sorry?
You look very young.
Sorry. Będzin is a small industrial town in Poland, in bigger in the region of Zagłębie. So I am Zagłębian. We in the vicinity of Będzin there were many coal mines and other industrial raw materials. Each year there were miners. Miners had a special uniforms with caps with feathers. Each mine had its own color of feathers, and they were marching through the main streets of Będzin. When in 38, we didn't. I was pupil at a Jewish private school named Gymnasium on the Gymnasia in the name of just a moment, what was his name? Forgot now. A very well known high school with all the government permissions, because they had to have the language we spoke in the school and at the home was Polish. I don't know any Yiddish, but I understand something here and there. Do you know Yiddish?
To understand.
Yeah. Sorry, I know.
Versteht.
Yes. My father, with his brother, owned 2 lumber yards, one in Będzin and one in Katowice in Polish. Sorry. No, 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 it's okay. We didn't feel much anti-Semitism as it was in Eastern Poland. No, only once they throw stones at our apartment, but that's all. They, when it come close to 1939, that was the year when the war started in September 1. Germany attacked Poland. I was 12. I was 13. But we weren't in Belgium. During the short time before the war, we were 12 kilometers from the border with Germany. The atmosphere was very thick with rumors about approaching war with Germany. So my father arranged for us to go to Warsaw, where our uncle Alfred Schwarzbaum was, come here. It's more than 2 meters. And I was talking. It's my wife. She's a survivor as a little girl from Holocaust. She is. I am not. We were not in Poland during the war. So I am happy. I am really not a survivor of Holocaust, but that in the next story. My uncle Alfred Schwarzbaum, nickname Alf, that's the theme Arlette is interested in, was quite a rich man in Belgium. He's got ironware wholesale business. Well, anyhow, so we joined him and his family in, it was not Warsaw, but was in Otwock, Polish spelling. Everybody whom you met maybe knows the name Otwock, because it was a very popular holiday township, 25 kilometers from Warsaw. But when our luggage from Belgium was sent by train, because the trains were so overcrowded, in the direction of east, that we couldn't have go with them. So we traveled light. But on 1st September, Germans start. Stella, once again, what's your name?
Les Glassman. Les Glassman, it's good to see you.
Glassman.
Still, if you want to take a seat with your husband,
What?
if you want to
down.
sit.
I'm afraid of corona.
No, no, it's fine. I'm very far. You can take the mask. Yeah.
What you are filming him? What for?
That's good. Okay,
Are you?
Jakob? Okay.
But don't do picture of me.
Okay.
I don't want.
Okay. Okay. Jakob, we can continue.
Please.
Okay.
He's the teller.
So our family joined. Our family, I mean my mother and my sister and me, joined them in Otfotsk. But on the 1st September, Germans already bombed Poland, and first of the bombing attacks was a commercial yard of the Polish railways, where our luggage was. So we were left with side bags only. Anyhow, my uncle Alf, as I said, was quite a rich businessman in Benjin, and he's got a car. In those times, a car was something very rare in Poland and everywhere in Europe. I think so. So anyhow, he's got small car of Czech origin, Skoda. It was S with apostrophe something, and it was chauffeur derived. So he packed all of us. There already were 8 of his he was married to my father's sister. Her name was Mania in Polish. So we were packed in that small car, by today's standards, 8 passengers and a driver. It means 9 persons, 3 in front and 5 in the rear seat, plus a luggage on top and some people who took a ride with us without our knowledge on the rack outside. Anyhow, it was a journey towards east of Poland, Lublin. Also, everybody from Poland knows the name. It was quite a big city. We arrived in the vicinity of Poland, of Lublin, and there patrol of Polish army requisitioned the car. So we were left on there. How we arrived in the center of Lublin, I don't know. I don't remember, sorry. Maybe I know. It was near the central post office in Lublin, in the whole area. Lublin województwo. Województwo means district or whatever in English. And and on the roof of that building, which was nearby, we were seeing it from our rented flat, who was on the top floor of the building, of our building, not our, but still. So the Germans, of course, tried to bomb it. One of the bomb fell on our on the building we were lived in, on the top floor, and when we weren't in the flat, we were in trenches. There were everywhere trenches, anti-bomb, anti.
It's the same.
Anti-bomb trenches. When we come back, I've seen a hole in the roof and a corresponding hole in the floor. It means we were sitting on a delayed action bomb or something like that, but bomb. So we cleared very quickly the flat and waited for explosion, but it never came. My sister, who was 15 then, asked some scout boy, Polish. There was difference between Jews and Poles, of course, as in everywhere in the world, I could say, except the United States maybe, and your South Africa, I don't know. But it was different. A Polish scout boy in uniform, so we didn't know he's a scout, for help, and they both went up to the flat to bring back some essentials, some food, some
clothing?
Yes, some clothing. And of course, all the rest of family was under tension if perhaps the bomb will explode, the bomb inside, at the bottom of the building. But it didn't happen, and they come back. So we were relieved. And then my uncle, who was the chief of the family and only man, because my father was remained in Belgium to attend to business, of course. And we went east in the cart drawn by two horses. When we arrived in a small township named by bizarrely Tzitsuf. You know what? Tzitz.
Oh, okay.
Titz.
Yeah.
Titzov. A name you couldn't imagine. The horses were absolutely exhausted, so we stayed in Titzov, and the driver eventually went back, of course. We were, that Alf, my uncle, rented a house, small. There were no big buildings, and on the main road through the township, and I was the chief watcher. There were no other of the chaussee, which went through that Tzitsov. A few days, nothing happened except during the day, but at nights there were shootings and explosions all around us. It was probably, I don't know, either military or already Polish partisans, I don't know, with Germans. By the way, during our journey in the car, we stopped on our way near big terrain with potatoes growing, and two German planes arrived from horizon, and we were, of course, flat on the earth, Mother Earth, and my only wish, mine, I don't know about others, was to be a earthworm, you know,
Yeah.
under the because they were shooting the planes, two planes. Well, it was what's in with your leg?
It's fine.
Are you comfortable?
Very.
Yes, fine. So we will go back to that Titzov, and one day I've seen a cavalry unit, very strange to me, very strange, because I was used to Polish army where everything was comme il faut in French. The horses, the saddles, everything was tip top, and they were clothed differently, of course, from the Polish cavalrysts, long coats and strange caps, very strange. You know what Budyonovka is? No. Marshal Budyonov was famous Russian commander of first, I come back to the history, to the war between the new Soviet Union and Poland. It was in 1920, 1921, and he was that Budyonov was commander of the first horse army of the Soviet Union, which attacked Poland. Then, in 1920, it's a bit of history, but people don't usually remember it. So the caps were called Budyonovka. It's a detail, not a part of our destiny, but still interesting fact. It appeared that the commander of the cavalry unit was a Jewish boy from Soviet Union. And my uncle, Schwarzbaum, got to know him, and that commander of that cavalry unit helped us to arrange another cart-driven, horses-driven cart, and we arrived at Helm. Also, everybody from Poland you interviewed must know.
Helm, sure.
You did you hear about Helm?
Sure, very much.
About Helm Meshugai?
Yeah, absolutely.
But we arrived in Helm, to my and I was looking for those dump people. Never found one, and it was already after the war finished between Germany and Poland. Poland capitulated during 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know that. So demarcation there are. In the meantime, before the war, just before the war, there was a pact. You know what pact is? Signed between the Soviet Union and Nazi Germany.
It was the Ribbentrop.
Sorry?
Ribbentrop. It was the...
Can. And Ribbentrop
Where
signed.
they divided Poland.
They divided Poland, and the demarcation line was in our vicinity, in our region, Helm. Near Helm was a river Bug, B-U-G.
Bug.
Ever heard of it?
Yeah.
Yes. So it was Soviet units, Soviet army withdraw over the Bug, which was a border, back to the East Poland.
I think it was the Molotov-Ribbentrop agreement. It was the Molotov-Ribbentrop. It was
Yes.
the pact.
Yes, yes.
They demarcated half of Poland to be German and the other half Russian.
The Western countries were astounded by it. How come?
He was anti-communist, and he made a pact with the communists.
But the truth is that they didn't. Soviet Union first tried to make some pacts with Western big countries, capitalists, but nobody answered positively. So they did it with Germany. very willingly. So we went over the Bug River to the Soviet zone of Poland. And we found their family of my mother's sister, which were there already. They were also from Będzin. And then we went to Baranovice. Ever. I must say that the local Jews were quite unpleasant, I would say delicately, unpleasant to us, which they called bieżency. Bieżency means refugees in Russia.
Wow. Why were they unpleasant?
Why?
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. How did South African Jews relate to people from East Poland?
Very well. Very well. Very good.
Very well.
Very
Okay.
good.
Right. You are.
They were very, very well. I'll quickly tell you, the Lithuanian Jews accepted the Polish Jews very, very well.
Okay.
And most South African Jews are from Lithuania.
But not Eastern Polish Jews received us,
Wow.
at least our family, where we were in the flat, in the apartment of a commercial friend of my father, who was sawmill, right?
Yeah.
Owner.
It's very sad.
They didn't let us through their rooms. They closed the door to our little room, and we went in and out through window. My sister and me went to school over there. It was overcrowded, and then in this time there was a brain disease epidemic. So of course the school was overcrowded with bieżency, and I and sister went afternoon to the school. So to cut the story shorter, sorry.
You don't need to cut it short. You don't need to. Where was your father? Was your father didn't join you yet?
My father joined us illegally because the line between Germany part of Poland and Soviet part of Poland was already
Sealed.
already active. So he crossed the Bug River illegally and joined us. And before Baranovice, we were in a little township called Maniewice, where I went, and sister also, I don't remember, went to school. Prime school,
Primary.
till sixth grade, where I got beaten by a local boy who were overgrown of others, because it was his third year in the same class, in the same grade. So I must justify him, because I was, first of all, from town, and he was a rural boy. Secondly, I was Jew, and he was Paul. But this is a little element of of my story. Well, in Baranovice, one night, come NKVD. You know what the
NKVD, the secret Soviet, like the KGB, the forerunner to the KGB.
Yeah.
A lot of Jews were involved in the NKVD.
Sorry?
There were a lot of Jews that were also in the NKVD. A lot of Yidden.
First of all, I must say something which I read in the internet, because I am reading much about Jewish, Polish, and Jewish overall relationships. The father of KGB, as now is known, or UB in Polish, was a Polish nobleman, Felix Dzierżyński. Polish. From his methods come Gestapo and others, nice people. His entourage, you understand, were only Polish noblemen. How do I know noblemen? Because of the second names.
Sure.
And so this is just to say that after the war and before the war, for almost 2 years, Poland was under Soviet occupation. And the Poles thrown the shame of persecuting Polish population to us on every, even now, you are Jews, so you were UB. UB means urząd in Polish, bezpieczeństwa, security office. But nobody from Poland, Polish people, will accept that it was born by Poles. The treating, the cruel treating of prisoners. You didn't too, huh?
No, very interesting.
It's first time you hear
First
it.
time, sure.
First time.
First time.
I am telling it so maybe people, Jews and not Jews, Poles, will see this video and know the truth. Well, where did I stop?
That the NKVD came to Baranovic. The NKVD came.
Yes, it was NKVD.
Yeah.
NKVD in Russian or Polish. Come with rifles, with bayonets. They had bayonets very different from Western style, because Western bayonets are rather short, right, and flat, and have a, how do you call it? Doesn't matter. And they have a bayonet fixed to their rifles when not in use like this, when they think it will be used like this. They were probably this length and thin, three-sided. So they come for us. First time was when we were given that small room with place for two beds and a table and 2 chairs, I think. I am coming back, sorry, in my story. So first time the door was opened and we went through the apartment outside, the whole family. And we were packed, we were guided to commercial station, a railroad station, where we were packed in cattle cars, 40 people in car or something like that. It was written on the wagon, 8 horses.
Wow.
Or so then we started journey. Not then, after a day or two, we started a journey east through Russia.
And did your whole family work together?
Yes. By the way, I must go back to Benjin. My father, which was alone, was in the beginning of the occupation, together with some pack of Jews, arrested by Gestapo and put in the souterrain of municipality. And they were sitting there for quite few hours when the door opened and SS-man, you know what SS-man is, or Gestapo, appeared, and my father, who was absolutely blonde, well-dressed, a new German, approached him to ask him how long will be held here, and that Nazi looked over him and says, "Was machen Sie da? Raus!" You understand?
Yeah. Leave.
So he went back to our apartment, took a rucksack, backpack, which was already ready, and went on his way to join us. But it was in Benjin.
He saved his life.
Huh?
He saved his life.
Right. What happened with the rest of the group? We don't know.
We don't know.
Probably they were put put to gas in some machane,
Some camp.
or shot.
Your father never found out. Your father never
No,
found out what happened.
he
to
went straight out of Benjin. But in Benjin was afterwards was famous story, also probably that everyone from Zagłębie, you remember what Zagłębie was, knows the story that they packed a lot of Jews in synagogue, which was opposite a church, and wanted to fire it. And what is the name? Comer,
A priest.
a priest, opened the door to the church and let everybody to the church.
Wow.
So very many, because it was the main synagogue of Benjin, was big, and there were a lot of Jews. So everybody got a lease of life for another, you don't know how many. And now Benjin was incorporated in the Third Reich. So the ghetto in Benjin was the last one of the last established by the Germans. By the Germans, not Nazis, Germans. By the way, we had an uncle, Volksdeutsch. You know what Volksdeutsch is? No. Volksdeutsch is a German, ethnic German, who lived for some time abroad. So all the Polish, Romanian, there were Volksdeutsche, and he married my father's sister, Barbara. So we were a family with a Volksdeutsch. By the way, he was very, very decent guy.
Was he Jewish?
Not Jew,
He wasn't
German.
Jewish. German, wow.
German. Very ethnic, clean German. His name was Paul. They had one daughter, Christine, with whom I played as a child. They were quite rich. Anyway.
Did they survive the war?
Huh?
Did they survive the war?
Of course, yes, not of course. He sent his wife and daughter to his family, which did not live in Benjin, in some village. But everybody knew that. Okay.
But they survived.
They survived, yes.
And you kept a connection all the year. You kept in touch with Christine. Did you have a connection? You spoke to her? Yeah.
Sure.
Even today, or?
Today they are.
But for many years. For many years.
For many years, when we come back from Russia to Benjin, we stayed with them in their apartment, and he was even he was accused of being a collaborator, but was released. He was not collaborator. His brother, yes, his family. So anyhow, for 2 weeks we were in that cattle train through Soviet Union. Once a day or once in 2 days, the train stopped, and we were released to make our shitting.
Yeah, to relieve yourself. Yeah.
yes, in the field. Together.
Wow.
All together, women, children,
Sure.
men,
Wow.
one beside other. We arrived at the last station of the railway in Siberia. The township was called Tavda. Tawda. Tavda. All around us were towers with guards, because it was a town of prisoners. It was Siberia. Everybody who got a sentence or didn't get a sentence was sent to Siberia. They got experience. But they've got experience in this and other repercussions, but the Red Army saved our life. I'm very grateful. Sorry. Then they put us on barges, river barges. Barge, you know what it is?
It's like a boat, type of boat.
But not self-moving. It was towed barge, big barge. And we went up the river Tavda, through, to cut the journey short. The tug that pulled us went through woods. So we were floating through woods till we come to a small port, something on the river. Then everybody was, there were carts with horses. Everybody put his baggage on the telega. Telega means in Russian cart, drawn by one horse. The driver was sitting not on telega but on the horse, because there was no way, no arranged way, and we went through taiga till we come to a nice place called Kurenevo, which was one street. On both sides were new houses, but unaccomplished, unfurnished. There were no ovens. The houses were made of wood. How do you call? Not beams, but untreated. Well,
Like planks, maybe planks. Planks. It's like planks, wooden, like beams. In a way, beams or planks.
beams,
Yeah.
but untreated.
Untreated.
So it was one on the other, and between them were such holes on the whole lens. So we were put to work gathering. How do you call that thing that that grows in forests? Something like that, and filled the intervals between logs. Logs
Logs, yeah.
can intervene, and the houses were built on above the ground. So we had to dig earth to put on sides. There was a brick factory, which our people, including my sister, who was 15 or 16, close to 6, doesn't matter, worked there and built the ovens. The houses had 2 entrances from both sides and was divided by planks in the middle for 2 families. One we and the other other family. So there was no watch on perimeter because there was no place to run. Everybody, everywhere was taiga. So we were quite well because there wasn't still a war between Western. There wasn't yet the war between Soviet Union and Nazi Germany. So everything worked, including post. So we were receiving parcels with food and things like that from Zagłębie, from the so it was 1.5 years approximately. Then the war started, 41, June 22, right?
And how old were you at this time?
So?
How old were you at this time?
13.
13.
13 and 14.
14.
But there was only a school in the, it was called settlement. Settlement, Pashowo. Only primary school. And I was above primary. primary school. So I didn't go to school. And it was during the winter.
So what did you do? What did you do during the day?
Father and sister, my sister, worked in the wood, cutting wood and hauling it to the river to float down the river to some railway station. And I and mother stayed at home. It was quite a good time for me because I had friends there. And all time we were kimat outside. We had two rabbits as a dog and a cat, a black one, cat, and the dog was a puppy who grew up with us. It was a Waika. Waika is a Siberian breed.
Yaakov, was it very cold?
Very cold.
Very cold.
Very cold. And there was no wind because taiga woods were all around us. So there was no wind. Afterwards, in Russia, where there were fields, no woods, were awful winds, and we felt more cold in Russia than in Siberia. But you got frostbite. Of course, we had gloves and with flaps on ears, caps. But here and there, one caught frostbite. Then you had to take snow and rub it.
And did you have enough food? Were you ever hungry, or did you have enough food?
No, we didn't. If it were only for what they gave us, what they feed us, we would be hungry. But we received parcels from Poland.
Who sent the parcels?
Our family.
Your family sent it, and it arrived. They sent the parcels to this address, and it came.
It came.
Wow.
The post worked very well in Soviet Union.
And your family from Poland?
Sorry?
This
Yes.
was your family from Poland?
Yes. We were corresponding by writing with them, and with our uncle Alf, who got permission to reach Switzerland with his family, without without Magen David.
Without the yellow star?
Without.
Wow. And did he send you from Switzerland? He sent you packages from Switzerland?
Also. But they were not treated well by Swiss Jews.
Your uncle?
All of the refugees were not treated well by the local Jews. It must be known.
And where was your uncle in Switzerland? Where did he go? In which town?
My uncle had as he told me, I think only me, after the war, got a client, German, who went broke. And my uncle, who had a big wholesale ironware business, told him, look, you can have all the credit from my stores. You'll stand on your legs again, you'll return the money to me. And that German, when the Nazis occupied Poland, went up the Nazi ladder and helped arrange papers for Alf and his family to pass through by railway to Switzerland legally.
So it saved his life because he did a big favor. It saved his life.
He remembered it.
Wow, it's Karasatov. He was grateful that he.
Sorry?
He was grateful to him that he did him a favor.
Yeah.
Wow, and where did Alf go when he came to Switzerland? Do you know where he went when he came to Switzerland? To which town? To which?
Yeah, no, they were alone. The family. That Volksdeutsch lived in Poland, was born in Poland.
But when your uncle went to Switzerland, where did he go in Switzerland?
Lausanne. They lived in Lausanne.
And they weren't, the Jewish community didn't welcome. The Jewish community wasn't good to him in Lausanne.
The Jews local community was not favorable towards their family.
They weren't.
Or any Jewish refugee.
So why? Yosef, why? Why is that?
Maybe they were afraid of being accused of not being enough Swiss. Maybe. I don't know.
Was your uncle very upset? Was he very...
He was upset. There was a problem of adopting Jewish children from East. They didn't do it. Christian families did it. Not him, not they.
Wow, this is very sad. Very sad to hear this.
Very sad, right.
Extremely sad.
Very sad.
It's tragic.
Yes. But so was in Africa, not South Africa, Africa, where they were, I've seen it on TV, where there was a white population in some places, except South Africa. The local Jews were antagonistic to the refugees, to the other Jews.
Very sad.
Yes.
Wow.
So, that was it.
So what happened? How long did you stay in Siberia?
In Siberia?
Yeah.
1.5 years.
And then what happened afterwards? Where did you go?
Afterwards was a pact between Polish government in London, there was Polish government in London, and Soviet Union, which after signing it, we were released. We were free.
This was the Polish government in exile. The Polish government in exile.
In England.
Yeah, but they were in exile. It was called the Polish government in exile.
In
exile. They were
in exile.
yeah. And they signed the agreement with the USSR.
Yeah.
And they release you. And then where did you go? And then where did you go?
Everybody in that settlement.
And where did you go?
It's a crazy story. First of all, we were given in East Poland before we were transmitted under guard with bayonets to Siberia. We were given a choice. Either you want to return to your place in Poland, occupied Poland, or do you want to receive Russian, Soviet passports and be left in East Poland or whatever? Everybody, almost everybody of refugees in East Poland signed it to return. It's crazy. And my father underwent two nice experience with Gestapo or SS. What they thought, the generation above us, the children, they thought maybe they remembered the German from the First World War. They were nice, they were civilized. So they signed it as almost 250,000 other Jews, or 300, something like that. And then they packed us in the cattle cars and to Siberia. So that's how it is. It's your first time that you hear it, huh?
Yeah. And then when you were released, when they signed the pact, where did you go from your town in Siberia? Where did you go?
Back to Russia.
Back to Russia. And where in Russia did you go?
We arrived at some railway station. That's what my sister told me, because I was a kid.
Yeah.
13 years old, that on the station, on the railway station, we stayed, didn't know where to go. It was in Russia. Russia, the European Russia is up to Ural mountains. And we went over the Ural. So we come back through the Ural to the Russia. So we were in Russia. At some point, we alighted from the train at some station, and then one of our group overheard local people telling that in their region they're looking for hands to work, because all the right age population were in the army, so there were nobody to work. So they gave our parents a name, and we went there.
Do you know which town or city you were in? Which village or town? Do you know the name?
No, villages only, rural Russia.
And for how long did you stay?
In Russia,
Yeah.
not only there, in the village. For almost 3 years,
3 years.
something like that. War only started.
Yeah. And did you go to school or did you go?
We went afterwards to Ulyanovsk. Ulyanovsk is a town in Russia where Lenin was born. Ulyanovsk. He was, what his name? First name was, forgot. Ulyanov, I don't know. There was a house of his family, house. I visited. In Russia and in Siberia and in Russia, there were in the houses no toilets. So we had to do our whatever we did outside. No, under a clear sky.
And can I ask, were there any other Jewish people that you met in Russia? Any Jewish community in the villages that you stayed? Were there any Jews living there as well?
Sure. We were a group from the settlement. We were a group.
And you stayed together? You all stayed together?
We stayed together, yes. Then one day, the NKVD grabbed one of us and started to ask him questions.
Mm-hmm.
Since in their eyes, everybody, Russians too. By the way, we were treated not worse than the Russian-born people. No. And he of course spilled about us. For instance, about my father, that he was a Bundist. Bundist was a social party in Poland, Jewish. You know about Bund.
Sure.
But he was not a party member. He was just a supporter of the idea. So all the men were arrested. Kulam were arrested, and we were left after the war. After the war ended, we were left without father, who was also arrested, and got a 10 years sentence in the war camp. By then we went to, you know what oblast is? No, a district of Ulyanovsk, as I told you, where my sister went to university, agronomical faculty. So we went there, mother and me. And sister was already there.
And where was your father sent? Did they send him back to Siberia?
No, they sent him to a camp near the Volga's delta.
Heard of it.
Output to the sea, to the Black Sea.
And could you visit him at all?
No, no. Yes, mother. We were arranging parcels to him, and mother and sister were not visiting. Just I don't remember whether it was only handing over the parcels with a name, and or they were seeing him. I am on.
Yes, sure.
Or they were seeing him. I don't know. But
And how long was he there for? 10 years?
10 years in Russia was called a children sentence. Children. And nobody asked what for. Nobody. Because everybody knew what is NKVD.
Yeah.
They were, but still they let us free. Also in cattle cars.
So how long did your father serve the sentence?
He was there till Stalin finished. You know how Stalin finished?
In 1953.
But how?
In Purim, it was Purim.
He had a dacha. Dacha is country house, where there was a corridor with exactly the same doors. And nobody knew except nobody knew in which room he is. So, when he died, it was a day or two, and he didn't appear. So they finally found the door, and he was on the floor in his excrements and his piss, and of course it was not legal. I did know how they died only after we were in Poland.
So
We were in here.
So when did you go back to Poland?
Huh?
What year did you go back to Poland?
To Benji.
But what year? When did you go?
46.
It was after the war.
After the show.
And your father came back with you?
No.
He still had to stay
No.
in Russia?
Yes.
Wow. Now let me just ask, do you remember the end of the war? Do you remember when the war finished?
Sure. There was a big ceremony in Ulyanovsk.
And you go back with your mother and your sister, did you?
Right.
And you went back to your town in Poland.
Yes.
But your father stayed behind.
Right.
And what happened when you came back to Poland?
We stayed with father's sister, who was married to
The German.
Volksdeutsche.
And your house, was it taken over?
We didn't even visit it.
You didn't even visit, because you knew that.
Not our house, our apartment.
Your apartment, you didn't even visit.
No,
You never went back.
no. I didn't. Maybe my mother did, I don't know.
And how long did you stay in Poland?
Till 46? No, 49. Because there was a recruitment campaign to Haganah. It was a war here.
Yeah.
And I enlisted. So they took me. So they arranged a passport for me. But I don't see on my right eye. I don't see. I've got an accident in Poland. So they don't take me to the army. But I went to the Technion.
And you came here in 49 after you came in
only.
In 1949.
Yes.
And I'm going to ask, when you went back to Poland,
Yes.
how was the atmosphere going back to Poland? It must have been.
Nobody told us about extermination. Nobody. I've got a good friend of mine. We were sitting. We were participating in. We were in the primary school together. He survived in Auschwitz. Survived, had a number, and he didn't talk about it. Nobody didn't know. I know now more than I did know then.
And wow. And when you came back to your town in Poland after the war, how was, when people saw you, did they say, how was the reaction of the local people when they saw you?
Poles.
How was their reaction when they saw you?
No reaction. No reaction. Not good, not bad. It was West Poland. It was not East Poland and Warsaw. But there were killing Jews all around us.
Even after the war? There were pogroms.
Especially after the war. Because during the war, Germans somehow prohibited killing of Jews because they want to do the job. Germans.
And how long did your mother and sister stay in Poland? Did they join you?
Till 49, 50, 1065 or something like that, when it was anti-Semitism legal in Poland. We had a prime minister named Gomulka. Ever heard of him?
I've heard of him, yeah.
His wife was Jewish. His son had a Jewish look. And he was such an anti-Semite. I saw him making a speech in Sejm,
In the
anti-Jewish.
Yeah.
There were cases, Jews were rather prominent in Poland, in the government, in factories. cousin of mine was director of the biggest coal mine in Poland, in the former German territory. Ever heard of it?
Yeah.
Niederschlesien. It was called. We were over High Schlesien or Maszowieckie, and they were Lower Schlesien. Many Jews went there because there were many free apartments after the Germans, because Germans were extradited from Poland. I've seen it in Wrocław. I've seen it a long way, but not with soldiers who watched them. They were free, standing with valleys, with luggage, and waiting for a train.
And let me ask, your father came back, do you know when he came back?
To Poland.
Do you remember the year? Do you know the year?
I was in here.
You were already here, so it was after maybe in the early 50s he came.
Sorry?
In the early 50s he must have come back, he was released.
Something like that, 56 or
And then
something.
did your parents and your sister join you in Israel? Did they come?
Not, he joined them,
And then where did they go? When did they leave Poland?
Wrocław, in the territory,
And
in the free territory,
and when did they leave Poland?
in Wrocław.
And then where did they go to? Did they live many years in Poland?
My sister and his husband, and in between two sons were born in Poland. They had a house, a villa, and my mother got a flat.
And they lived in Poland. They stayed in Poland.
Yes.
Always. They didn't immigrate. They didn't leave Poland.
Till that wave of anti-Semitism.
And then where did they go? They came here. And your sister came here as well?
Yes.
Oh, so everybody came here.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was at that time in Haifa attending Technion.
And
You know what they
sure.
do.
And how old were you at this time?
Sorry?
How old were you now when you came to Haifa?
Now or then?
When you were at the Technion, how old were you at the Technion?
23, something,
23.
22. I don't remember.
And you hadn't seen your father for many years?
Yes. Yeah. It's you?
No.
Ah. Sorry. But you've learned some facts. Facts.
Yeah.
Yes?
Can I ask, your uncle that went to Switzerland,
Yeah.
he helped with a lot of Jews when he came to Switzerland. When he came to Switzerland, he was helping other Jews to try and escape.
He was engaged in organizing free visas he was in contact with South American countries and obtained from them passports. By the way, first of all, he asked Jewish people, most only his acquaintances or somebody who got a recommendation to him, for passport photos, small photos. Then he went and he got a South American passport, put on the photographs, got a stamp from the embassies of the South American in Switzerland, and sent them back to Poland. It was before the war, with Soviet Union, and besides, between Switzerland and Poland, post was working. So he sent the passports to Poland, and so many Jews were rescued because it was still a German occupation, Nazi occupation. In such a way, my father's brother family got out of Poland to some camp in Germany.
And they were put in a special part of the camp.
Yes, they've already been in ghetto in Belgium, but it was not a walled ghetto. It was, but it was, they were expulsed from the apartments and to ghetto. When they were in ghetto, they received a request from Alfred.
And it was Alfred Schwarzbaum.
Huh?
And his name was Alfred, and the surname was Schwarzbaum.
Yes.
Yeah.
His wife was the family in Poland sister. The family that was in Belgium was my father, his brother Abraham, and that's it, and families. And before the war, Alf Schwarzbaum.
And how did he help with the orphans or the young children? Did he help bring them to Switzerland with the orphans or the young children?
There were no young. Hala, his elder daughter, was 20, and Irene was 18.
But did he help bring other Jewish children to Switzerland?
No, not in Switzerland. They were sent to a foreigners' camp in Germany.
Wow. And do you know how many passports he did? How many?
I don't know.
But it saved a lot of lives. It saved.
Because it was an organization. But we knew only about him. You didn't know it.
I did know. I did. There was Hannah Goslar Pick, Anne Anna Frank, her best friend. So she told me that her family had South American passports, and
it was Sujihara. American passport?
No, South American. So they had these South American passports or visas or passports, and when they were sent to Bergen-Belsen, they were put in a separate part of Bergen-Belsen, and that's how they survived.
Maybe.
Was from these South American visas or passports.
Probably. I don't know about. By the way, I have a friend, we have a friend who lives nearby. He survived the war. They survived the war as a Polish family, and his father was a specialist in hides. So they survived with his father being one of the directors of a huge Czech firm, Czechoslovakia, then firm making sneakers in Poland. If you want to meet him,
Sure.
I can call him.
But I'd like to ask you, I would like to ask you, what message can you give
About whom?
about the war and your experiences? What message can you give to people who are going to watch it and to future generations?
Look, unfortunately, anti-Semitism is flourishing everywhere. Even in the United States. So the Nazis really were victorious because their ideas live. They are ideas of Jews as the monster of the world is surviving. But the Germans come to senses, and they, in my opinion, are the only one among all the occupied countries that said we are we did it.
They own
said
that.
we did
We
it.
are responsible.
We are responsible for it. That I must say. Otherwise, I don't know.
So, Jacob, I just want to thank you. Just give 1 minute. I'll sit over here. So I really want to thank you very, very much for giving me this amazing
Really?
interview, and it's been amazing. But I must just say, the Nazis were not successful.
Huh?
The Nazis were not successful. The Nazis, Yamach Shema, were not successful because you survived.
Yeah.
And Am Yisrael Chai. Today we have our own nation. We don't have to rely on anybody. Am Yisrael Chai. You came to live in Israel, and your family followed you. And now our future generations.
I am absolutely with you. Oh, please.
Don't worry.
You want a
but
coffee?
I want to thank you so much, and you should just be well and have mazel and brocha. And
I am well.
but really, you really are amazing, and the Nazis did not win. They really didn't. We won because every new generation, we are thriving here in Israel, and we are already we're having Chanukah, Ola Goyim, and Israel is amazing. It is really something very special.
Here you are absolutely right. Absolutely, we are amazing, and I start to believe that what
We can take off. Yeah.
that we are a really successful nation. Really, because no Arab country and no other country come from nothing to wealthy being, really. But beside it, anti-Semitism is flourishing.
Yeah. But you know what? It's always been. The sad thing is that it's always been. Before the Nazis came to power, there was tremendous in Spain and through the Inquisitions and the Black Death. Unfortunately, there's always B'chol dover omdo aleinu in every generation. But the only difference is Hashem will save us. We believe it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will save us. But we have our own country now.
No.
And thank God.
You are absolutely right.
Thank
Absolutely.
God. And here we can be proud.
We are proud.
Well, I want to thank you so much. Emet toda rabba im kol halev. With all my heart, I'm so grateful to
Tell
you.
me once again, do you want to visit my friend?
For sure. It would be
Shall
a great
I
honor.
call him?
Thank you so much.
Just